So I've been on my 3-yard quilt kick, which is no surprise, and I wanted to work in Everglow one more time, and so I got the giraffes and these elephants, and I think these elephants are just so beautiful, but I also think the flowers in between the elephants are just as beautiful. I am just enamored with them. I think they're just gorgeous. So, and sometimes with Tula's fabrics, you got to look behind the big focal images to really appreciate what all she's done. Again, I'm a Tula fan, that's no surprise. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to use this. And I was annoyed because I thought it was going to have to be with the making it patriotic because I'm working in the new 2 books, right? But I just was struggling with this pattern for this particular print and the fabrics that I've chosen. For whatever reason, when I was in the store, this looked like a good idea to me, and I don't know that it is, but it's what I have, and so we've got to use it. We have this stripe here that's really tight and small, and I'm going to use it with a big stripe, and then, but I didn't choose my pattern yet. So then I thought, well, this pattern will be great. However, this right here are 2 blocks meeting together. So there's a stitch line down the middle. And I just wasn't loving that. I don't mind this gray small line, small stripe being next to the big one, but I didn't want them touching right there because they're going to be off. And then all of this here is pieced. So it just would be a bunch of little small cuts on a stripe. They do it on theirs, but only on one is a stripe. So I thought, oh, but I was going to do it anyway. And I'm actually in a hurry to get you guys content. So piecing these very, very small blocks, these small pieces, I can do it. I'm just not in the mood for it right now. So I went back and revisited this book, which is the second to the last book that's been released. This is Make It Modern. And I looked at this pattern again, which would be much faster because these cornerstones here are just that. They're cornerstones. It's 1 block. And this, I'm sure, is going to be strip pieced. This is going to be a really fast quilt, and it's going to be great for a big focal image because this is only repeated out here in the binding, and I know that I'm going to change the binding. So the elephants doesn't even get broken up like it would have here in these corners. I'm just going to get big pictures. Now, I might not be able to get just a full elephant. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to control that or not. But even if I get an elephant's butt, if I get this big, pretty flower, I'm going to be okay with it. So if you're choosing, and I was concerned because this looks like it's on point, but it's actually a cheater method. And I was like, I can't have my elephants turn this direction. That's not going to work. But we're going to cheat that. And I'm so excited that it cheats it. And then I get to use this big, pretty focal print. Again, I thought it was going to be on an angle, but it's not. It cheats. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do it, and then we will move on. So I'm going to show you guys how to somewhat be able to somewhat control this if you are only using 3 yards. I should say 1 yard for this color, 3 yards of fabric, which is why we love this, right? Is because we can get something beautiful. Now with something like this, you're going to get a trade-off. You know, you will not necessarily be able to fussy cut all of these elephants. And when I say fussy cut, I mean center them dead center in the square. And that is going to drive some people crazy, and some people will just buy more fabric, which is what one of the options is buy enough. So for this, there are 12 focal elephants. So you would just buy enough fabric to cut perfect squares, squares of the elephants, which is doable. I've done it before. It's just, I kind of like, the easiness of this. So I'm going to show you guys just how. So I know I'm going to get this elephant in this first cut, not a big deal. We're going to go on ahead and take that first cut, and then we'll work on what we have left over after we've cut that one. Now, I don't know what's going to happen on the backside, but I'm going to get what I get, and I'm not going to throw a fit about that. But I can see that I'm clearly going to get him with as much as I need. Hold on. Okay, here's the part that freaks everybody else out. Now, with the size that I needed, I got a lot of butt here, and I had to cut the faces of these elephants off. So now we have taken off the face of this elephant. Now he's in the trunks of this other one. Oh my goodness, the tusks are so pretty. But I see that this piece is larger than what I need. I can see that I get a whole elephant right here. If I start from this angle where I have half the face, then I know I'll probably cut off the face of this guy here. But I know that I have more than what I need. So what I'm going to do is flip this bad boy around this way because I'm right-handed. And I'm just going to take off the very end here because this is where the fold is on my fabric. And again, I have about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches left over to work with. And that's just based on the size of the required square. And I can't give you guys sizes because this is not my pattern. So I'm just going to count here over. So yes, I'm still going to get elephant butts, but I've already got a partial point of this elephant anyway, and I think it's more important to get that full elephant. I don't know what's happening on the back, and we're going to just let go and be okay with whatever that is, but I know for sure I can get one here. If you are concerned about the back and maybe you get something better, you can flip it over and check. And I see that we're good. We're still going to get full elephants on the back of the fabric. And this is not too much more work than just going through and cutting it. It's not so bad. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this and show you what we get. So I went ahead and made my cut. And this is what I have left over. So this is what I would have been seeing. And this is what I've ended up with. I've got a beautiful elephant walking through the scene. And also I want you to remember, these are elephant butts, right? But these corners, I won't even be able to see. Oh, this flower is just gorgeous. And then when you flip it over, I just happen to get enough elephant at the top. The top will actually probably be cut away with 1/4 inch. So I'm getting a partial elephant there and a partial here, but I'm getting a whole head. So we'll have an elephant kind of moving through. Actually, I'm not sure when we take this side off, but again, we're just going to get what we get and not throw a true fit. But that's one way to kind of fussy cut if you only have a yard of fabric to work with. So I'm going to cut this last strip. We need 12 focal blocks, and I'm getting 4 blocks from each strip. So let's go ahead and cut this last strip and get our last 4 and move on to fabric number 2. So we have strips for your border. We have strips for your strip assembly. And then we have these. Now, remember, these have stripes in them, so you want to try to get them as straight as you can. I tried to get them as straight as I could. I don't want any leaning stripes if I can avoid it. And then we are going to subcut these into some squares. So I think I'm just going to stack these and whack these. So they're stacked 2 on 2, and I'm okay with that. And I'm going to get rid of the selvage. And free spirit selvages go kind of deep. So I'm going to go on ahead and get that bad boy. And then we will it'll be all right. And again, these are stacked. And we want squares. So I'm going to go on ahead and whack this. And we need a lot of those because they're going to go on every single corner of the 12 big squares. So then we have the cornerstones and all the strips for the piecing of the innards that go around our big block. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is look at the directions and then do what the directions tell me to do first, which I think is going to be work on the block. Yes. The first step is to work on the block. I was thinking I was going to get straight to the strip piecing, but we are going to do the block first. So you're going to take one of these beautiful blocks. And we're going to be doing the flip and stitch. So we are going to sew one of these squares. Now I need to make a decision right now. Am I going to be putting the squares this way? Or am I going to be putting the squares this way? That's going to make a difference. And so I better figure it out and then I will go from there. I have decided that I want my stripes running up and down. If I turn it, they run side to side. So I've just decided all of the blocks that I use, I'm going to run horizontal with the blocks. So all these stripes are running this direction, not this way. And I'm going to do that for every single corner. I'm just going to keep it consistent. We're not going to be mixing and matching. There's already a lot going on with this block, so I don't want us to have more going on. So that means it's going to go, I'm going to draw a diagonal line from point to point. I'm using a friction pen. This is on the back, and I need a bigger ruler. And we are going to draw a line right down the center. And I'm going to sew directly on that line. I'm going to draw all the lines for all the corners. So when you're doing this, be careful. Be careful, be careful. So if you have directional fabric, if it's not a solid, make sure that the two up here are going opposite, opposite, and then opposite and opposite. For a second, I had them switched around, and that really wouldn't make sense. We can't be sewing up into no man's land here. So just be sure that yours are where they're supposed to be. And now I'm going to, you can pin these. You can, that's up to you. I guess I'll throw a pin in just for good measure. And I'm going to sew right on this line. If I miss the line, I want to miss the line going toward the outside of the fabric, not more into the fabric, towards the outside of the fabric. If you miss, veer to the right, don't come in. Because you can square it up with that extra fabric. But I'm just going to pin all these where they're supposed to go. And we will sew on all the lines. So we've got all these sewn, all the corners. Probably could have used a lighter thread to piece with, but I used black, whatever. Now I'm going to put the 1/4 inch mark of this ruler on that line, And I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch away from the seam line in this direction. This is called the flip and stitch, or stitch and flip, because you're going to stitch it, stitch it, stitch it. And this last little corner right here, we're going to take this guy off. And you can put these in your scrap pile. Now that we've cut off all these edges, we are going to... My preference on this is to open the seams. And I know that's not necessary, but I think you get a more accurate block not jumping over that hump. So I've just got my wood iron here, and I'm just going to run my wood iron. Oh my goodness, I'm throwing wood irons. I'm just going to run the wood iron over these seams really quickly. And this is the one, this is my favorite wood iron. The other one was by anyone, which is fine too, but this one's my favorite guy. And then after I do this, I'm going to hit it with some heat. I just think blocks lay more flat or flatter when you press this seam open. And if you're concerned about your seams coming apart, you can certainly shorten your stitch length. I was sewing on a 2.5 because of how long this is, but if you feel uncomfortable, you can certainly shorten that. So I'm just going to give it a quick press and another quick press. And then I will flip it over and press it out really well. And then you can square that up if you need to. And then we have a beautiful elephant block. Oh, I like where he's shitting. He's almost center. That's not going to happen on all these. We're going to get some elephant butts, but we're going to be okay with it because this is just, we've got flowers and other things to look at. But that is how you are going to complete this first block. I can't remember what I said, which direction I wanted these to run. They are running up and down. So whatever I did, I'm going to have to redo exactly that because I don't want some going this way and some going up and down. We just want to keep it kind of continuous just because I'm already using stripes on stripes, which is a lot to look at. But I think this gray goes so beautifully with this elephant. It's working. So I'm going to do this again. So these are the stripes that we previously cut. And there are double the amount of these than there are these, which is perfect because you are going to sandwich them, or sandwich this gray one right between these right here. So let's sew this strip to this strip and then this strip to this strip, press it out, cut it up. And this is what this should look like when you're done. It's all crumpled up. And I think I'm just going to press any kind of way because it really doesn't matter. I might press these open for funsies, but they will be attached to a block, a solid block. So I don't really have to worry about seams in regards to these first two seams. So I might press them open or I might just press them to a direction. I don't know. I don't know yet, but it doesn't matter. And we have to do this 8 different times. So I'm gonna pull out my strips and just go, go, go. So for these strips, I decided to press them open. I think that's just gonna be the best way to attack these. So I am just going to open this with my wood tool. There we go. And yes, opening this with the wood tool first, it's better because once you hit something with heat, you kind of set it. And so if you can get this open already, it does make the ironing go a bit faster. And I love this wood tool. I've run into the gentleman who makes them a few times now, and they sell out so fast. They sell out so fast. They've got a couple different versions of them. And now I'm just going to grab my iron and run it down this side. I'm going to give it a little tension here. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to go on ahead and hit it again. And then we're going to flip it over. Make sure that it's open all the way. And because these stripes are tiny and these are big, it goes together without looking crazy. And again, I'm giving it just a little tension down here, just a touch. And then we will put this to the side and it's ready for us to trim up. So now that we have pressed these and they look really good, they look really parallel, which makes me happy. And I've just pressed these seams open. I think that was just going to be the best way to work with these. And so now I'm going to subcut them. We need 31 of the same size block. So I'm just going to freshen this up and take off the selvage here. And we're going to rotate this bad boy around and we are going to cut subcut 31 of these. So I'm just doing this. And this is what we mean when we say subcut. And there's one. And I'm going to do a couple of these and then we'll build our row. And I love how this comes together in the row situation. I'll show you. If you are doing this just like I am, this is how much you have left over. So if you want to play with where you want these to land, you actually have some wiggle room here. If you want to get super fussy and take your quilt to another level, again, you have about 5.5 usable inches that will be left over from your strip after you cut what's needed. So just know that if you want to get super fussy, you've got a little bit to play with in regards to these 1/2 inch stripes. All right, it's time to build the innards of our quilt. Let's start with this because we have some options. So we have these cornerstones. And the question is, which direction do I want to put the cornerstone? Do I want to make it very apparent that that is happening, which is kind of cool because now we're adding another element and we don't have to worry about where this lays, even though a pocket of purple on purple or a stripe on stripe is not going to be a big deal in my opinion. Or we can just say, you know what, forget it. It's a square, so we're just going to rotate it this way and let that happen. But whatever it is, we're going to need, in the very first row, you're going to build 1 in this way, 2, and then another square. I'll put it this way for consistency's sake. And then another square is going to go over here. And then we are going to build these guys. And we are going to start with a and this is the innard, the innards, I should say, of it. Oh, that's pretty. All right. And then, of course, we will make the pattern make sense and put one here. And then another one of these will go on this side. And then you just keep repeating this. And I think I am going to, I don't know which direction I'm going to sew those. I don't know. Because you've got them kind of matching here. So you're going to get what you're going to get. So you will hit it whichever way, however. So I think we'll start with them going horizontal so that these rows go this way. Yes, I think that is what we will do. Yep. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep these blocks that go in between. We're going to keep those horizontal. And then it will just continue vertically however it falls. And this is just a repeated pattern. These are all your blocks. So I am going to start sewing all my blocks together. Very simple quilt, very fast quilt. This is an easy 2-day quilt for sure. All right, I'm going to just do my thing. And the way that I will probably do it is I'll do a bunch of these strips. I think I need 5 of those rows. And then I'll do the other rows and just put them in between. And that will be that. So the elephants are all finished. And now we've just got to add the border. And what I like about this is that it's just one border. Borders are my least favorite part of quilting. Like when I'm finished, I want to just be finished. But I'm just going to sew these bad boys onto the edge. And then we're done. It's just one border, which makes me so happy. I don't need to cut this one down, so the 2 sides will get just 1. And then the sides, I'll have to join them together and then sew them around. But nice and easy peasy. So I'm outside really looking at this, and this might be my favorite quilt that doesn't have, you know, the image directly in the center of it. Like I totally have an elephant's butt right there, but it doesn't bother me. It's actually quite pretty to me. Let me know what you guys think.